So we've rebuilt the worst WHL team and we've rebuilt the worst OHL team. Now it's time to rebuild the worst Quebec team. So as we know, this team completely sucks. They're a junior team that just got put into the NHL. The same rules are going to apply as the last two rebuilds we've done. 3 free agent signings a year, but players have to be below an 85 overall, but we're allowed to make as many trades as we want. But there's also one thing we have to do. We have to remember that Stick on the Ice is doing the rebuild today, and we already know how good he is at pronouncing names. So let me figure out what the pronunciation for this team is.
Gatineau Olympics.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be saying that because I couldn't even comprehend what was just said, but this is what I'm going to be pronouncing for the rest of this video.
Gatineau Olympics.
So the Gatineau Olympics are the Quebec team that we're rebuilding today. If you have a problem with that, that sucks. I'm saying Gatineau Olympics because this is the logo we're going to be using. There's no logo even close to what the Gatineau Olympics logo looks like, so we're just going to be using the Quebec Nordiques. With that being said, let's go ahead, simulate through the entire season here, lose every single game, and then get the first overall pick. I don't think in any of the videos we've done so far, after going basically 0-82, I mean sometimes we win 2 games, but I don't think we've ever got the first overall pick in year number 1. So let's try to get that this time around. Also, you might not know, but I'm still trying to pass the Detroit Red Wings and YouTube subscribers. So if you're yet to subscribe to the channel, first of all, I don't know what you're doing, but subscribe right now and help me pass Detroit. Now I definitely can't complain with what the Gatineau Olympics did this season, a 3-79 record. Considering this team's full of junior players, 3 wins against NHL teams is actually pretty impressive. Now leading the way for the Gatineau Olympics is going to be Zach Dean, but honestly this is kind of a fraudulent player to be leading the team here because he doesn't actually play for the Gatineau Olympics. Even though he's on their roster in NHL 24, he actually plays for the Springfield Thunderbirds and he's a St. Louis Blues prospect. I know for a fact this man's in the AHL, so don't ask me why he's still on the junior team. Meanwhile, if you were curious in goaltending numbers, the goaltending was so bad on this team we don't have any data to display at this time. Like usual in season number 1, we could care less who's winning the Stanley Cup, but it happens to be the Detroit Red Wings this time around. That's definitely realistic with how Detroit's looking right now. But the moment of truth, are we going to be getting the first overall pick here in the draft lottery results? Of course not. We're dropping from 1 to 3. The New York Rangers of all teams are jumping from 9 to 1, and then St. Louis is going to jump from 6 to 2. So as we know, Lidstrom turns into an absolute beast, and I could select him 3rd overall once again. But you know what? I don't want to be taking the same players every single time, so we're going to go with Sam Dickinson here, and he's going to be the guy leading the defense for us. So on top of securing Sam Dickinson with the 3rd overall pick, we are going to be getting another stud in the draft, and this one's going to be a lowly potential sniper. And then because I wasn't paying attention, I accidentally simulated the rest of the draft. Great work, Stick on the Ice. You're really holding it down in this video. Okay, so the CPU definitely didn't cook with the final 3 picks here. We got 2 players with AHL potential and another guy with bottom 6 potential. Last time I trust the CPU with anything. Then again, I didn't actually want to trust the CPU here. I just wasn't paying attention. So we're in free agency and it's now time to make a couple moves here. And Novak, I've seen you develop into a fantastic player in a couple videos now, so I want to lock you down long term. Could we do 5 years at 5.3 million? I think that would be a great deal for us. I've seen you develop into like an 88 overall player, and obviously I would like for that to happen today. And speaking of players that seem to develop really well, Barabanov, you're another guy that's developed really well in a couple videos, so I'll give you 4 years at probably 5.8 million, 5.9 million. We'll do 5.9. I think that's a good deal for you as well, especially if you develop. And to finish it all off, if we're going to be bringing in a playmaker such as Barabanov, we better make sure we have a sniper here, and I think we're going to do Daniel Sprong, 4 years at 5.8 million. We're committing a lot of money early on here, but you know what? I want to change things up a little bit. So here we are entering year 2, of course. Sprong, Novak, and Barabanov, they're going to be holding it down on the first line. And Zach Dean's up to a 74 overall at 21 years old. I have a feeling he's going to surpass top 9 potential and become a top 6 guy for us, so we're going to have to pay attention to that. Defensively, we're throwing a couple rookies into the lineup here with Sam Dickinson being the best one at a 74 overall. While the goaltending is going to be a wash this season, maybe we'll pick up a goaltender at the trade deadline, you never know. So it really shouldn't be any surprise that the Gatineau Olympics are still a terrible team right now, 158-5. But you know what? We are seeing a bit of progress. Because good old Thomas Novak, he's having an incredible season right now. He's already picked up 56 points. Daniel Sprong, 27 goals, 27 helpers for 54 points. And Barabanov, I can't complain with this right here, 53 points. The top line looks absolutely fantastic. We're going to ignore everyone else, especially Sam Dickinson. He's minus 90 right now. It's not ideal. Okay, so you got to hear me out here. I'm cooking up a deal here. It's including a couple draft picks. The most notable notable one's a second rounder. It's going to be a second rounder, 2 sevenths, and a fourth rounder, as well as Daniel Sprong. Now, the one thing we have to remember here is since Daniel Sprong is playing so good, he has a bit of trade value. But the guy we're picking up is going to be a massive upgrade from Daniel Sprong. It's Kempe. We're picking up Kempe from the LA Kings for this package right here. That's a massive upgrade to the team. Yeah, we gave up a valuable second round pick, but we got Kempe, and we already know what that man is. He's already developed. He's an 87 overall. That's massive for this team. Now, this is a really tough deal to make right here. Picking up Askarov from the Nashville Predators. He's already an 84 overall, and you already know he develops into a fantastic goaltender. But do I want to give up more draft picks here? We're going to be throwing a third rounder into the deal for next season, and then next season we really don't have that many draft picks left. We're going to have a first, a fourth, a fifth, and a sixth, and then that's it. Am I willing to make this deal right here? I mean, we pick up an 84 overall goaltender who'll be the future for this team. But we also got to throw Zach Dean in the deal. He's already up to a 74 overall. His development's looking pretty good. But you know what? Screw it. I want a goaltender, so we're making this deal. Okay, never mind, we're not making the deal because they're saying no, but a sixth rounder, that'll be the difference maker because that's so lucrative. So after trading away all those draft picks and basically having no draft capital left, we're going to end it here and we're going to simulate the rest of the season. And the one thing I love about season number 2 is somebody's always getting thrown on the waiver wire here, and it's going to be Jack Dury, so we're picking him up to join the team. He has low top 6 potential, you never know, he might be able to develop into something for us. I highly doubt it, but you just never know. And then Jack Dury, I'll definitely do this extension for you. This is incredibly reasonable. 3 years at $9.25 million on a 2-way deal. You're probably going to develop into an 80 overall with the amount of minutes you're going to be playing. So that's going to be an easy contract to trade away, and you'll definitely have a lot of trade value. So honestly, this deal with Ascroft's a bit of a risk, but I don't think it really should be that much of a risk. We're doing 3.5 for the next 6 seasons. Actually, we'll do 3.6 just to make sure we can get this deal done. And then we're going to bank that we win a Stanley Cup here in the next 6 seasons. That's going to be a great contract to work around. He's already an 84 overall. Being completely honest, if it takes us more than 6 more seasons after this one, then something went wrong. Something went very wrong. So the Olympics definitely took some steps in the right direction here. Obviously, we're finishing dead last. That should be no surprise. But a 5-71-6 record, 10 more points than we had last season. Our team's definitely on the right track now. And just look at the fantastic seasons here. Novak picking up 77 points. This man's an absolute beast for us. Barabanov 74 and Kempe, he's got 70. But how many points did he have since joining the team? He had 19 points in 18 games, 8 goals, 11 helpers. Having him on the first line alongside Barabanov and Novak, that's going to produce some incredible results. Also, Sam Dickinson, 32 points here, but you're minus 108. Honestly, I can't really blame you. And then my next question is, what did Askarov do since joined the team here? He had a 3-9-1 record. That's not too bad. A 923 and a 325. Those numbers are way better than what I thought they would be. I mean, the save percentage is incredible. 923 and goals against of only a 325. Yeah, you're definitely our guy for the future. No questions about it. I'm sorry, but ain't no way the Detroit Red Wings have just won back-to-back Stanley Cups now. This team has more YouTube subscribers than me, and they've won 2 Stanley Cups in a row here. That just doesn't sit right with me. But who cares about Detroit when we're getting the first overall pick here with sim to the draft lottery results, and it looks like we're going to be getting the second overall pick. How has this happened again? In the OHL video, we dropped from 1 to 3, then we dropped from 1 to 2. Are you telling me next season we're going to get the first overall pick finally? At this point, you can't convince me it's not rigged. So what are the odds that the player that's going first overall here has franchise potential and he's going to be joining the Chicago Blackhawks? Thankfully, he doesn't have franchise potential, only medium elite. With the second overall pick, we're going to be going with Ricard Vertan in here. I don't even know where he's projected to go. In the previous scouting rankings, he was first, and the current scouting rankings, he's second, but according to my scout, he should go third. So nobody knows where this man should go, but all I know is he has medium elite potential. He's a 73 overall. This dude's going to be a beast for us, I can guarantee it. And on top of securing that great prospect in the first round, early in the second round here, we're going to be getting a low elite potential playmaker. He's already a 63 overall, and I believe he's 18 years old. We're going to double check that. Yes, he is. He's definitely going to be making the team in the next few seasons. Now, I was a bit concerned on what Kempe's extension was going to be looking like, but $7.5 million for the next 5 years, that's a lot better than what I was expecting. So now I might be paying a bit much for a guy like Jake McCabe here, but you know what? Sam Dickinson needs a good line mate, so here's $4.9 million for the next 3 seasons. Also, I think we're all pretty familiar at this point what type of a player Sam Bennett turns into, so here's 6.3 for the next 5 years, and we're going to be keeping you around long term. And to finish it all off, I do want our second overall pick to have a decent playmaker, so I'm going to bring in Alex Wenberg on a 2-year deal at $4 million. Also, I will mention this again right now. If you're wondering why I'm always offering more than the asking price, we won 5 games last season. Nobody's going to willingly come to this team. So we're entering season number 3 here, and this team's in a way better spot than I was expecting. Novak's up to an 89 overall. Who would have seen that one coming? I knew this man was going to develop if we were giving him top line minutes, but to an 89 overall, never would have expected that. The top 6 here actually looks really good. The bottom 6, of course, needs a bunch of work, but we already knew that. Defensively, Sam Dickinson's actually going to have a decent defensive partner this season. He's going to have Jake McCabe. I mean, last season he had this guy. That wasn't the end of the world. And we actually might do that again because then they get a +1 overall boost. Both of these guys are incredibly young. They could develop into great defensemen for us. Maybe picking up Jake McCabe was the wrong decision. And of course, we already know what our goaltending situation is going to be looking like. Ashcroft's going to be the man for us. You have a better defense in front of you. You got a better team in front of you. So I'm expecting better numbers. Then again, we do have to remember we only really have like one defensive pairing in Jake McCabe and a top 6. So the bottom 6 still sucks. The bottom pairing defense still sucks. So if you put up similar numbers to this, I'm not going to complain. Now, surprisingly, the Olympics have been way more competitive than I thought we would be this season. We're definitely not dead last in the entire league here. We're 31st actually, 25, 33, and 7. We got a decent offense here. I mean, it's not good by any means, and our defense still stinks, but we're definitely heading in the right direction. Ottawa, 17 wins. Nah, y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. So the absolute legend in Novak is leading the way. 62 points here, 21 goals, 41 assists. Who would have saw that one coming? Sam Bennett, 59 points here. We already knew he was going to be putting up this type of production once joined the team. Kempe, 56. I mean, 21 goals. I was expecting a bit more, but I really can't complain. And then Vertanen, 27 goals, 19 assists for 46 points. I definitely can't complain with this type of production in your rookie year. Now, Ashcroft, I was hoping for better numbers when it came to save percentage and goals against, but you got 22 wins. Not much I can really complain about in that department. Also, I thought I'd point this out right now. Sam Dickinson's already up to an 89 overall. Mans is in season number 2 and he's already an 89. So he's going to be an absolute beast. And for Tannen, he's an 83, but he was at the beginning of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if at the beginning of next season, he's up to an 87. So the young guys continue to develop. Meanwhile, Barabanov's also up to an 87. He's probably going to pick up a couple X factors pretty soon. Same with Novak. We have a lot of good pieces on this team. Now, are we going to be making any trades here? I'm not too sure. So with the team doing as well as they are, we should make one trade here. And it's going to be a third rounder, Wenberg and Dury, over to the New York Rangers. And we're going to be picking up Alexi Lafreniere. Now, I do want to mention with Wenberg, we're going to be retaining half of his contract for the next 2 seasons. We basically have unlimited cap space to work with. I mean, that's not true, but we have a ton of cap space right now, over $40 million. So if I have to retain $2 million in order to get Lafreniere, I'm perfectly fine with doing that. I'm going to offer that trade over. Unfortunately, they're saying no, so we got to throw in a couple more assets. Now, I would start with a 7th round pick, but I don't actually think that's going to be enough in this case, so I'll give you a 6th rounder instead. A 6th rounder over a 7th, and that's making the difference. Never mind, we have to give them both a 6th and a 7th. You might think Stick on the Ice is absolutely losing his mind here, giving up all these valuable picks like a 6th rounder and a 7th. Nah, this man has lost his mind. But you know what? We got Lafreniere. He's going to be a great piece to the top 6 here, and I think this move is going to age very well for us. Now, as we know, the Olympics aren't a great team. 31st in the entire league here, 29, 46, and 7. Can we jump from 3 to 1? Because if we're able to drop from 1 to 3, then we could definitely jump from 3 to 1. The man, the myth, the legend, Thomas Novak's looking absolutely fantastic, 73 points. Sam Bennett's got 69, Kempe 68, Barabanov 63. I can't complain with anyone on this team. Everyone was producing. And Lafreniere, what'd you do since joined the team? Man, you suck. Bro, I gave you a sniper. I gave you Vertanen. That man's an absolute beast, picking up 33 goals. I also gave you Sam Bennett to play alongside. You played alongside Sam Bennett and Vertanen, and you're telling me since joining the team, you picked up 6 points. Bro's a fraud. And then Askarov, your numbers really can't disappoint me because I'm so upset with Lafreniere. 25 wins, a 905, and a 348. Ain't no way Lafreniere sucked that much. He is a perfect fit on the second line. Unfortunately, it looks like Detroit's luck is finally run out as they're going to be falling in the conference finals to the New York Rangers. And after making to the Cup final, ain't no way the New York Rangers are going to be collapsing like that as the Vancouver Canucks are going to be sweeping them. I'm not saying I'm surprised Vancouver won a Stanley Cup. I'm just surprised they swept the New York Rangers because they were a great team. I guess they were missing Alexi Lafreniere. I'm still upset about Lafreniere. I haven't got over that. This man had 6 points in 17 games. Also, we dropped from 3 to 4. Should have seen that one coming. Now, the player that's projected 4th overall here has high top 6 potential. I'm not going to be messing around with that, so we're going to be drafting this defenseman right here. He's a gem, a defensive defenseman. He'll probably play alongside Sam Dickinson on the first line. We're selecting him. On top of picking up that medium elite potential defenseman, we're also going to be getting another elite potential player. This is going to be a low elite two-way forward. Sam Dickinson, fire your agent right now. You're an 89 overall, and we're going to be paying you $7.5 million for the next 6 seasons. I don't care if your agent is your best friend. Fire that man right now. You should be getting at least $12 million. I'm going to keep it 1,000. Now, Lafreniere, I thought you were going to be asking for like $9 million after that performance with us, but I can do $4.2 million for the next 5 seasons. I feel like you're going to break out this season. I have faith in you. Also, this was the other young defenseman we drafted alongside Sam Dickinson, so I'm going to give him 4 years at $1.7 million. He's a good piece on the second line, what can I say? Well, I mean, he will be this season because that's where he's going to be playing. Because Mayorov, you're now going to be on the top line alongside Sam Dickinson, as long as you have a decent line fit, but I think you guys should be able to work it out. Now that those extensions have been given out, it's time to improve this team through free agency, and Taylor Radish, I'll do 2 years at $3.7 million. I don't think that's a bad deal for you. So right now, JJ Peterka is an RFA on the Buffalo Sabres. He's an 83 overall at 24 years old. I just saw how much money this man was asking for. Yeah, we're going to trade for his rights right now. We're not messing around. So JJ Peterka, how much trade value do you actually have? Could we just do a 3rd rounder for you? Definitely not. We're going to have to include more in this deal. Maybe a 3rd and 4th rounder, and we'll pick you up from the Buffalo Sabres. And just like that, the deal is done. No messing around. Now, since I traded for you, this doesn't count as one of our free agent signings, but 4 years at $2.5 million for a bottom 6 guy, a steal of a deal. And it's definitely a lot better than what we had before. Now, our next signing is definitely going to be a cheaper one. Jesper Boquist to a 3-year deal at $1.8 million. He can play some bottom 6 minutes for us. And to finish it off, a guy like Tanner Janot's always useful. He plays those gritty 4th line minutes. We're going to be doing 3 years at $1.8 million. He plays great defense, so I'm happy to bring him onto the team. So I always seem to forget about this, but I actually remembered this time around. We need a backup goaltender, and Joel Holford, he's going to be the guy for us. They're getting an absolute steal here. They're gangbusters, guys. I gave you a 6th and 7th round pick. Calm down, St. Louis. It's not that deep. So here we go, entering season number 4 here. I think there's a chance that we actually compete for a wild card spot. Novak, Barabanov, and Kempe on the first line, Lafreniere, Virtanen, and Sam Bennett on the second. The bottom 6 here definitely saw a massive improvement. We even have 80 overalls on the 4th line, so we can definitely work with that. When it comes to defense, I have no problem with our top 4 right here. The 3rd pairing, we're just going to pretend doesn't exist. You know what? This 3rd pairing's so bad, I actually might have to make a trade here. While the goaltending situation, we already know Ashcroft's going to be the guy, but we got ourselves a new backup in Joel Holfer. This is a decent tandem, the best we've ever had. Then again, the bar was set pretty low. So here's the trade right here. 2 prospects that have virtually no trade value over to the Ottawa Senators, and we're picking up Bernard Docker. He's going to be a nice upgrade to the defense here, and I mean, to be fair, we had 60 overalls on our 3rd pairing, so we can't make it worse. Also, since Docker has such an incredible fit with the team here, he basically can play on all 3 lines. We're going to give him an extension, 3 years at $1.1 million. Whether he plays on the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd line, he's going to have a great fit. So right now we're at the trade deadline. We've already won more games than we did last season. We have a 30, 27, and 6 record. Our offense isn't too bad, but our defense is the main issue. We can't keep the puck out of the net. The scoring on this team is pretty good, and I can't complain with what the top 6 is doing here. Virtanen's got 57 points, Kempe 56, Lafreniere 55. He's having a great season. Still an 85 overall, though I'm looking to improve that. The bottom 6, though, that's definitely where the issue starts because it is not very good here. But to be fair, they also don't have good defensive pairings to play alongside, so I think that might be the issue. The goaltending numbers for Ashcroft aren't actually that bad. 23 wins, 2 shutouts, a 908, and a 316. The defense still isn't good, so I think we make a trade here. Alright, so hear me out. Our 1st rounder for next season has a ton of trade value. I can guarantee we make the playoffs next season, so it's actually not going to have that much value. I'm looking at Burke from the LA Kings right now. This man is an 86 overall at 18 years old, and he's a fantastic defensive defenseman. He can either play on our 1st pairing or our 2nd, either or. Could our 1st rounder for him straight up be enough? I highly doubt it. They're going to say no to that deal. I'm willing to throw quite a bit into this deal right here. And when I say quite a bit, I mean like all of our draft capital. So I'll throw in this 2nd rounder, another 2nd rounder in 2028. So we're trading all of this for 1 player. They're going to say yes to this deal. Thankfully, I can go back and take one of the 2nd rounders out. I guess it's going to take both 2nd rounders. Do I want to give up both 2nd rounders in this deal? Maybe I can do a 4th rounder instead. We're going to do that. The LA Kings are making this deal, and we just got one of the best defensemen in the entire game. Now all we have to do is pray we're a playoff team next season, because if not, that pick's having a ton of value. To finish out the season, the Olympics actually showed a lot of potential here, finishing 20th in the entire league with a 40-35-7 record. I'm not 100% sure what our record was after making that trade, but we definitely had one of the best in the entire league to finish 20th. So it turns out Alexei Lafreniere is going to be an incredible pickup for us, as he's going to be leading the team here with 75 points. The scoring's not what I was hoping for, but hey, I can't really complain too much. Now Ashcroft, I'm not really going to judge you on the numbers this season. I'm going to judge you on what you put up next season, because next season's when we're going to have our best team yet. All the forward and defensive lines are going to be complete, and then that's the team we're going to be building around from here on out. But until then, we might as well just check in on the postseason and see what's happening, and it looks like the New Jersey Devils are taking down the Chicago Blackhawks in a 4-game sweep. Now we only had 2 selections in the draft, so we're not going to be getting any notable prospects here, but hey, I'm perfectly fine with that, because we already know we've been acquiring a lot of great players with these draft picks. So I think the 3 signings we're going to be making here are going to turn us from pretenders into contenders. We're going to start off with John Marino, 6 years at $6.5 million. That's quite expensive for an 84 overall, but you know what? He has a perfect fit on the second pairing, and that's exactly what we need him for. The next player we're going to be picking up is going to be Ross Colton to a 3x3 here. He fits on the third pairing. We need a bit of help on the bottom 6, and that's where he's going to play. And to finish it all off, similar to Ross Colton, Nick Waugh is another guy that can fit on the bottom 6, and he'll add a lot of depth here, so we're bringing him in on a 1-year deal at 3.3. So if we're going to be winning a Stanley Cup here, Virtanen's got to be a piece of our core, and we got to give him an extension here, so we're looking at 10.5 for the next 4 seasons. The other guy we're giving an extension is going to be Taylor Radish, and we're giving him 2 years at 3.5 million, pretty close to what he's getting paid right now. We're actually saving 200k in this deal. So John Marino is going to be the biggest L-mans of all time, and he's completely screwing up the rebuild here because he's not going to be signed to the team. I didn't have a backup plan, so I don't know what we're going to be doing. So we're taking a different approach in this rebuild than we have in the past 2, and that's basically trading every single draft pick away. For the upcoming draft, we have a 5th rounder, and a 5th rounder only if we're able to make this deal, and ideally that would be the case. 2 second rounders as well as this young player right here. He's only 21 years old. He's a 78 overall. We're sending him over to the Montreal Canadiens, and we're going to try to pick up Reinbacher here. He's an 85 overall. He can fit on the second line, and that's exactly where we need him to play. Now ideally, I don't really want to give up a 1st round pick here, so hopefully a 3rd rounder can be the difference maker. They're saying it's a bit low, so you know what? We just got to throw in that lucrative 7th round pick, and we're getting this deal done. So David Reinbacher, welcome to the team. So I can tell you right now, this team's going to be making the postseason. Novak, Lafreniere, and Kempe on the first line. On the second, we're going to have Barabana, Virtanen, and Sam Bennett. So on both of these lines right here, we got a 2-way forward, a playmaker, and a sniper. So they should have perfect line fits, and they should be able to produce. Meanwhile, on the bottom 6 here, we got a bunch of guys that can play defense, and just a bunch of fantastic players all around. Defensively, I'm not sure if there's any team that can compete with us. Sam Dickinson and Burke on the first line. Reinbacher and Mayo are off on the second, and on the third pair, we're going to have Bedard Docker, and we're also going to have Jake McCabe. I think I called him Bedard Docker there. Bernard Docker. And to finish off this team, of course, we have to have a stud in between the pipes, and that's what Ashcroft is for us. He's up to an 87 overall. I would love for this guy to develop some X factors, but hey, an 87 overall, that's definitely a start for his development. So I definitely can't complain with what the Olympics are doing right now. We're 7th in the entire league, 38, 26, and 1. We have a pretty solid offense, while the defense, that's not too bad as well. And just look at the production from our top guys here. Lafreniere 75 points, Novak's got 70, Kempe 64. This team can score from top to bottom, and we can run all 4 lines confidently. And on top of that, having a goalie like Ashcroft putting up numbers like this, that's what's also helping us. 30 wins, a 913, a 296. I mean, I'd like the goals against to be a bit better, but hey, we can work with what we have. And when it comes to making a trade at the trade deadline here, I don't think I'm actually going to make any, because 1, we don't really have that many assets to work with, especially when it comes to draft picks. But 2, I don't think we can actually win a Stanley Cup this season, so we're not going to make any moves. We're going to do 1 more season of improving the team, and then we're going all in next season, because that's when our team's going to be at its best. So with the season wrapping up here, maybe I should have made 1 move, because we're looking incredible. 6th in the entire league, 48, 32, and 2. I'm starting to regret not making 1 trade, because maybe we would have been able to win a Stanley Cup this season. The offense is pretty solid, while the defense, it's alright too. I mean, we're not necessarily fantastic in anything. Like, yeah, we have a good offense and we have an okay defense, but we're not exceptional in anything. And speaking of a balanced team, look at the numbers on this team. We got scoring across the board here. I think after we make a few changes in the offseason, this team will be ready to hoist a Stanley Stanley Cup for real. But until then, let's work with what we have. And Ashcroft, 37 wins, 1 shutout, a 911 and a 299. If you get on a hot streak and put up some unreal numbers, we actually might be able to surprise a few teams. And it looks like the first team we're going to have to surprise is the Tampa Bay Lightning, because that's who we're taking on in the first round. So after dominating the first 2 games of the series, we're going to be dropping important ones in game 3 and game 4, but don't worry because we're responding in game 5, taking a 3-2 series lead. Can we close the series out in game 6 here? We're completing a massive upset here because the Tampa Bay Lightning, they were definitely the favored team. So after that massive upset, we're moving on to the second round here, but we have a tougher matchup ahead as we have to take on the Detroit Red Wings, and we already know this team's won 2 Stanley Cups so far. But unfortunately, it looks like we were no match for the Detroit Red Wings, and not only are we losing in the second round, but we're getting swept. I'm okay with losing in the second round, but I'm definitely not okay with getting swept. So with the postseason wrapping up, it looks like New Jersey's going to be winning their second Stanley Cup of the video, but they're sweeping the St. Louis Blues. You're telling me there's no other team you could have swept in the Stanley Cup final? So I can tell you exactly what happened in the postseason. Our big time players weren't making big time plays, because look at Kempe all the way down here, only 4 points in 10 games. You have to be better. Also, Ashcroft, could you put up some better numbers? An 887 and a 404 is definitely not going to cut it. But don't worry, because we're going to make a couple moves during free agency and we're going to be back and better than ever. So before we get into the draft lottery or anything, let's give it some extensions. And Barabanov, I'm going to give you 4 years at 5.8 million, and I'm just doing a sign and trade here. I'm going to flip you during free agency. Now Nick Waugh, on the other hand, we're going to do a 3-year deal at $2.8 million. You're a fantastic piece to the bottom 6, so we might as well keep you around. So we are only going to have 1 pick in the draft here, but with 159th, we're getting a mediumly potential goaltender, so we're going 1 for 1 on draft picks. So this is where I'm getting scared. We have to give out some extensions here, and some people are going to be looking for some big money. Novak, what does he want? $11 million. Yeah, I'm not really willing to do that. Burke, what are you looking for? 10.5? We can work around it. So how about instead of 10.5 million, I give you 9.3 for the next 6 seasons, and we call it a day. I like that deal for us. And then with Mayarov, we're going to be doing a 4-year deal at 5.3 million. Let's make that 5.4 for the next 4 years. Jesper Boquist, you're a pretty important piece to the team because you do a great job on the third line, so I'll bring you back as well. We'll do 2.2 for the next 2 years. So now the question has to be asked, is Novak going to be coming back or not? I think I might trade him because I really don't want to give this man $11 million at 31 years old. Let's go see what his trade value is, because we actually might be able to get some decent players for him. So I just realized that Novak has the 3rd highest trade value on our team right now. Yeah, he's getting traded and we're bringing in like a 90 overall. So I feel like it's time for this team to go all in, and in order to do that, Novak has to get traded here, and so do one of our first round picks. We're going to be sending that over to the Winnipeg Jets. We are going to be picking up Velarde, who's surprisingly an 88 overall here, so he'd be a nice addition to the team. And we're also going to be picking up Parasak here. He's an 84 overall sniper. He can fit on all of our forward lines. He'll be a nice addition to the team. Now, are these 2 assets going to be enough to bring both of these guys in? Probably not, but hey, we got some more pieces to work with. So I've changed the deal up a little bit. Instead of next season's first rounder, it's this season's, and then we'll throw a 2nd and 3rd rounder into this deal, and hopefully that's enough to get it done. They're saying no, but we're just a bit low. A 7th rounder will be the difference maker, because it always is. And there we go. We just picked up 2 elite players on this team. So we're only going to be making 1 free agent signing here, but we do have a lot of cap space, so I'm going to make sure this guy comes to our team. JJ Moza, I'm going to give you $6 million for 1 season. I know you're looking for a 5-year contract, but we just need you for the 1 year. So it's officially Stanley Cup season. Lafreniere, Virtanen, and Kempe on the first line. They're getting a +2 overall boost. Look at all those X factors right there. And the X factors continue onto the second line. Sam Bennett, Velarde, and Barabanov. He's 34 years old, but he continues to be one of the best players on our team. And then the bottom 6 here, I didn't think it could get better, but it somehow did. Defensively, explain to me how we're only getting a +1 for line chemistry this season, when last season we had a +5. Sometimes it just don't make sense, but you know what? We're not going to worry about it. We got 3 incredible lines we can run, and I know for a fact this team can compete for a Stanley Cup. And to make it even easier for us to compete for a Stanley Cup, Askarov, 88 overall, he's got X factors now. He's one of the best goaltenders in the entire game. What more could we really ask for? Now this was definitely a very strange season. We're finishing 4th in the entire league here, 47, 25, and 10. We actually had less wins than we did last season, but we're better in the standings. On top of finishing 4th in the entire league, we're actually 3rd in our division. We're 1 point back of the Boston Bruins, and then 4 points back of the Detroit Red Wings, who are finishing 1st in the entire league. So although we didn't have as many wins this season, we definitely can compete with the best. And it turns out that Velarde pickup was actually huge for us, because he's going to be leading the team in points here. He's got 82. Barabanov, good thing we kept this man around. He had 73 points, while Sam Bennett, he's picking up 71. And then looking at goaltenders, Ashcroft, I was honestly expecting a bit more from you. 37 wins, 4 shots, a 908 and a 298. Come on, my guy. If we're winning a Stanley Cup, you got to put up better numbers than this. And speaking of a Stanley Cup, let's get right into the postseason here. And we have a tough matchup early on is we got to take on the Boston Bruins. These two teams were neck and neck in the standings, so it could really go either way. Alright, I'm going to be honest, I have no clue how we swept the Boston Bruins. I think they were the second best team in the entire league, and we were only separated by 1 point. But somehow when we match up in the postseason, we sweep them. I'll definitely take it. Now, if we were to ever win a Stanley Cup, it's this season right here. The Detroit Red Wings are going to be falling in the first round in a 5-game series to the New Jersey Devils. Now, we can't take New Jersey lightly. They just beat Detroit, so they're a pretty good team. So far through this series, there's been a ton of offense, so we've been going back and forth the entire way. But now we're heading into Game 5 with the series tied. This is a must-win for us. We can't be falling 3-2 to the New Jersey Devils, and luckily that's not going to be happening here. We have a 3-2 series lead, and we're looking to close this out in Game 6, and that's exactly what we're doing here, and we're off to the conference finals. So far, the playoffs have actually been going in our favor, and I'm not really used to this. So I'm incredibly concerned because I know things are going to go bad eventually. We're taking on the Buffalo Sabres next. This was a wild card team. If we're going to lose to anyone, it's definitely going to be to a wild card team. So after the first 2 games, I thought we were done and there was no way we'd be able to bounce back in this series. But then we won the next 2 games just like that. The series is even, and we actually won Game 5. That's 3 straight wins for us. Can we close it out with 4 straight wins and make it to the Stanley Cup final? It looks like that's exactly what's happening. And now we have the Edmonton Oilers to take on. So here we go through the first 4 games of the series. Ideally, we just sweep the Edmonton Oilers and call it a day here. Unfortunately, that's not going to be happening, but we do have a 3-1 series lead, so we're just going to close it out in Game 5 here. Never mind, we're just going to close it out in Game 6 here, and we're going to be hoisting the Stanley Cup, and the Olympians are Stanley Cup champs. We had a lot of fantastic players on our team, but Alexis Lafreniere, you were one player I was concerned about, but you lived up to your potential. 8 goals, 22 assists, 30 points, you're leading the team. Kempe, you haven't been looking as good the past couple seasons, but in the postseason, you stepped up when it mattered most. 14 goals, 14 helpers for 28 points, and we can't forget about Vertanden here, an incredible player for us, only 22 years old, and he's picking up 13 goals and 13 assists for 26 points. But to cap it all off, when it mattered most, Ascroft was the man for us. 15 wins, 3 shouts, a 930 and a 227. It's pretty clear who was the most valuable player to the team. And with a win from a Quebec Maritimes Junior Hockey League team, I guess you could say we've completed the series. We won with the worst WHL team, we won with the worst OHL team, and now we won with the worst Quebec team.